Yeah, so my friend was there. He wanted to try on me. I said, bro, like 40K for me, it's nothing. Double it, and I'll take your punch easy. He said, no, no, I'm not rich like you. This that. And then I said, if you want, I have a friend. He's next to me. Oh, he said, yeah, let's do it. And then yeah, he couldn't drop him. And then I took the 40K, and his friend said, let me count. Here is more than 40K. And I said, okay. They came back without money, and I said, where's my money? He said, I swear, bro, I'm going to wire you. I said, okay.
That is not an allegation. That is not a misunderstanding. That is the #1 contender in the UFC's lightweight division describing in precise detail a robbery that happened in public on Ryan Garcia's own kickstream with cameras rolling the entire time. And what happened next is what turned this from a viral moment into one of the most damning stories in combat sports right now. Because this isn't just about $40,000. This is about what Ryan Garcia did after he lost the bet, after he picked up the cash, after the money disappeared, and after he looked Armen Tsarukyan in the eyes and made a promise as a man. Here is exactly how someone who watched the entire 6-hour stream described what Ryan Garcia is doing right now.
Armen Tsarukyan is the nicest dude in combat sports, and that's why everybody keeps punking him. They're mistaking kindness for weakness. Ryan Garcia owes Armen Tsarukyan $40,000, and he's refusing. He's blatantly refusing to pay it. There's no miscommunication, no misunderstanding, no understandable type of delay. He's just refusing. And when he tries his best to justify and defend and articulate his reasons, everybody says,
blatantly refusing. No miscommunication, no understandable delay, just refusing. And the thing that makes this impossible to defend, the thing that every Ryan Garcia fan who has watched this has had to sit with, is that Ryan set the terms. Ryan agreed to the bet. Ryan's own team physically picked up the cash on camera. And Ryan Garcia, after all of that, shook Armen Tsarukyan's hand, looked him in the face, and said the words every man from where Armen comes from treats as sacred. He said, as a man, I'll pay you tomorrow morning. He did not pay him. But before we get to the handshake, before we get to what Ryan did behind Armen in the exact same moment, you need to understand how the $40,000 disappeared in the first place, because this is the part that the highlight clips don't show you. The money was physically in Ryan's team's hands. It had already been handed over. Armen had already won. And then someone asked for it back just to count it. And Armen, because this is who Armen Tsarukyan is, said fine. Here is what happened the moment that money left his hands.
I said, okay. And then he didn't wire me. I just called and asked. And he said it was like a stream, you know. We always do on the stream like these things. I said, okay, no problem. And then second one, why he's asking why you didn't tell me that you guy a professional boxer. Yeah, so.
And so I think he's tweeted some stuff about you, but then he deleted it.
Yeah, he tweeted that he want 8 rounds. He's gonna pay me 100K.
These are the tweets, by the way.
Ryan's team needed it for something else. They were going to wire it. Don't worry, I'll buy you tonight. This is what was said to a man who had just legitimately won a $40,000 bet on camera in front of thousands of viewers by a man whose net worth is reported to be between $50 and $60 million. And in the moment that Armen handed back the cash to count it, he handed back his leverage. Because the second that money was no longer physically in his possession, Ryan Garcia's team had everything they needed to run the clock. Wire it tomorrow, wire it next week, wire it never. And here's the thing, the most important thing about this whole story that nobody is talking about. Armen didn't hand that money back because he was naive. He handed it back because where he comes from, a man's word means something. He heard the promise, he believed it, and he let it go. That is not weakness. That is the exact quality that people like Ryan Garcia identify and exploit. And the stream footage of what happened next, the exact moment Ryan's team walked away with the cash, tells you everything you need to know about how calculated this was.
And Armen's like, whoa, 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 brother, where did my money go? What are you doing with my money, brother? And Ryan's like, no, it's cool. And the whole time, throughout this whole stream, from that moment and after, you could see Ryan and his homeless-looking attorney kind of whispering stuff into each other's ears, kind of like giving each other updates and making sure whatever, moving things around. It was weird. They'd kind of go off to the side and whisper sweet nothings into each other's ear. So the dude takes off, and Ryan's like, no, stay here. It's cool. I'm gonna wire you the money. We need that because we're gonna do something later. We needed to have that on hand. It was like, no, brother. I made bet because I see money here. I see cash here. I want to take cash. I see it. I win it. It's mine now. I want to leave with what I won. And Ryan's like, no.
Where my money go, brother? That is Armen Tsarukyan in real time, in the moment, watching someone physically walk away with $40,000 that he had just won fair and square. And Ryan Garcia's response, caught on the same stream, was not, wait, what happened, let me fix this. It was, no, let's go. Keep moving, don't look at the money, don't address it, just keep the energy going and let the moment pass. That is not a miscommunication. That is misdirection. And the most disturbing part of what the stream footage shows is what happened immediately after, while Armen was still in the room, still talking to Ryan face to face, still trying to resolve it directly. Because Ryan Garcia shook his hand, and while he was shaking his hand, while he was saying the words, "As a man, I'll pay you tomorrow," something else was happening behind Armen's back that only the cameras caught. And once you see it, you cannot unsee what kind of person you are actually dealing with.
Hearing everything that Ryan Garcia is saying and refusing to pay, Ryan Garcia shook Armen Tsarukyan's hand. Ryan Garcia shook Armen Tsarukyan's hand, with his own hand. It was a real handshake. No CGI. He shook his hand and he said, as, for whatever this means, I think it's kind of corny when people say stuff like this, to be honest. But he shook his hand and he says, as a man, tomorrow in the morning, as a man. He kept saying, as a man. Come on, I promise, as a man. I'm shaking your hand, as a man. And Armen, from where he comes from and the way he operates and the way he keeps his word, he's like, oh, why didn't you say so? And then he was good. His whole demeanor just changed. He goes, you didn't tell me you were saying this as a man. And then you shook my hand? Cool, bro. We just swapped DNA right here through our pores. We're sweating and everything. Quicker process. Cool, man. Ryan Garcia looked him.
As a man. He said it multiple times. He kept repeating it. As a man, shake on it, as a man, tomorrow morning. And Armen, from where he comes from the culture he was raised in, heard those words, felt the handshake, and his whole demeanor changed. That's all he needed. You said it, as a man. You shook my hand, we're done. It's handled. And then the moment Armen's attention turned away, Ryan Garcia stuck his tongue out behind his back, wagged it at his crew, and smirked. Not a nervous laugh, not an awkward reaction. He was clowning on him, in front of his own people, in the same breath as the handshake. That is the clearest possible window into the kind of person Ryan Garcia was being in that room and what he already knew in that moment about whether the money was ever coming. Now fast forward. Days pass. No wire, no bank details requested. Armen goes on camera and tells the story, and Ryan Garcia's response, which he later deleted, was not an apology. It was not an explanation. It was, I'm not paying you anything. And the reason he gave? He felt scammed because Armen's friend, the man who took the body shots, turned out to be a professional boxer. That's his excuse. That is the justification a WBC welterweight champion is using to keep $40,000 that he lost on his own bet with his own terms. And here is why that excuse is not just wrong, it's an outright lie.
To you, and yes, I said this with the information that dude was a fighter, but now, days later, I'm going to use that fact that I already knew, even when I shook hands and said I'll pay you, to justify why I'm not going to pay you. And I'm going to go further and make it seem like I'm doing.
He already knew. When he shook Armen's hand and said, "As a man, I'll pay you tomorrow," he already knew the friend was a professional boxer. Ashton Hall had said it out loud at the location. It was known in the room. Ryan Garcia shook that hand with full knowledge of who had taken his punches, made the promise anyway, and then used the exact same information. The information he already had when he promised to pay, as his reason for refusing. That is not being scammed. That is constructing a retroactive excuse for a decision you had already made. And while Ryan Garcia was busy constructing that excuse, Armen came back with the only counter that actually made sense. Forget the $40,000. Forget the boxing match. 1 round of MMA. $1 million if Ryan survives. Here is Armen making that offer, and here is what he said about Ryan's silence.
Yeah, but like, for example, he's professional boxer. How you can tell 8 rounds with the MMA fighter? I need like 1 round in MMA, not even round, 1 minute to just choke him out and like kick him, knock him out with my legs. And I said, if you want, I'll pay you 1 million if you survive 1 round in MMA.
So I think he wants to box you 8 rounds.
Yeah, he wants to box me if I survive 8 rounds.
Yeah. You saying 1 round in
Giving me
MMA.
100K, but 100K is nothing. I told him like, I'll pay you 1 million if you survive with me 1 round in MMA.
Yeah. And has he responded to that?
He hasn't responded. A man who will post deleted tweets about boxing Armen for 8 rounds at $100,000. A man who will publicly call himself the face of boxing, who will generate $50 million on a single fight night, has gone completely silent on 1 round of MMA for $1 million. Because boxing is Ryan's cage, his rules, his environment. In that specific discipline, the leverage is entirely his. But the moment the terms shift to something he cannot control, to a discipline where Armen Tsarukyan has spent his entire professional life becoming one of the best on earth, suddenly the counteroffers disappear and the tweets get deleted. That silence is the real answer to every question about who is actually scared of who in this situation. But here's the part of this story that cuts deepest. Because it is one thing to rob someone. It is another thing entirely to rob someone and then sit down and have dinner with them, to walk around the city with them, to laugh with them, to pretend to be their friend for the rest of the night while knowing the entire time that the wire was never coming.
The things that makes me feel sick right here, that Ryan must have known in that moment when he was telling him that he was going to pay him, that he wasn't going to, and he still went on to hang out with him, to go out on the town with him, to break bread with him, to eat, drink, and be merry with him, to have all these laughs and conversation and jokes, to spend time with them there. They went shopping after, they're walking around, they're meeting with other influencers, doing their thing. And he just knew the whole time that he was just...
He broke bread with him. He went out to eat. He joked. He laughed. He did all the things friends do. And the whole time he already knew. That is not a misunderstanding that got resolved badly. That is a man who made a calculated decision to steal from someone and then performed friendship over dinner to buy himself time and distance. And the reason this matters beyond the $40,000, the reason this story has resonated with combat sports fans across every platform, is because of who Armen Tsarukyan actually is when the cameras show you the full picture. Because while Ryan Garcia was plotting how to keep his $40,000 and make Armen the villain of his own robbery, Armen Tsarukyan was doing something very different with the money from his last bet dispute.
He says, I'm going to give it to this kid. A kid that was struggling with some health issues. He showed a video. He says, I've already been supporting this kid. This is going to go right to him. I'm helping this kid. Have you seen the video of Armen online where there was some kid that was happy to meet him and he was showing him like some shadow boxing? And Armen's like, do you train anywhere? He's like, no, I can't afford it. Armen said, I'm going to pay for your training for 1 year. And now there's video surfacing of the kid over there training. He's a good-hearted individual. He's out here like Robin Hood. He ain't just, he's taking that money. He's stealing it out of the clutch of the greedy little people like Ryan Garcia.
He gave it away. Won $10,000 from a bet. found a kid who couldn't afford training, paid for his gym membership for a year, took the winnings from a man who tried to cheat him and put them directly into someone else's future. That is the full picture of who Armen Tsarukyan is, and the contrast with Ryan Garcia pocketing $40,000 that isn't his, deleting tweets, and hiding behind a lawyer on a live stream could not be more complete. And this is the pattern that keeps repeating. Because this is not the first time Armen has been on the wrong end of a bet that someone refused to honor. Giorgio Poulos made a $10,000 bet with Armen at RAF. Armen won it, Giorgio found a technicality and didn't pay. Now, Ryan Garcia. And the reason people keep doing it, the reason this keeps happening to Armen specifically, is that they look at him and they see a man who is not going to come to your house, not going to make public threats, not going to handle it in the street. He is going to say his piece on camera, keep his composure, and move forward. And people mistake that composure for weakness. They mistake the self-control for a lack of options. They see the nice guy and they think, what's he actually going to do? Here is what Armen Tsarukyan is actually going to do. He is going to fight for the UFC lightweight title. He is going to become the most talked about fighter in the sport. He is going to keep building an empire that now has RAF valued at $110 million since he got involved, and he is going to keep asking for his cut. He is going to do a grappling match with Mikey Musumeci. He is going to potentially fly standby to be the backup option if Gaethje can't fight Ilia in June. He is going to keep collecting wins, keep growing his platform, keep making the kind of noise that makes promoters and champions and world-famous boxers want to be around him. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, he is going to fight Ilia Topuria. And if you want to understand what that fight means and why Armen is convinced Ilia is running from it, here it is directly from him.
Good luck to him. So we'll see when the fight happened, and we'll see how I'm not gonna take him down. I can take down anybody. So about that, he's gonna like break my jaw. Whatever he wants to do, just accept fight. Why you ducking if you're super confident that you can beat me so easy in the first round? So just sign the contract after this fight and don't move up and stay there and beat because I'm easy fight. Why you wanna move up?
Why are you ducking if you're so confident you can beat me so easy in the first round? Just sign the contract, stay there, and beat me because I'm an easy fight. That is the #1 contender in the UFC's lightweight division asking the featherweight champion a question that the featherweight champion has not answered with a signed contract. Just like Ryan Garcia has not answered the MMA challenge with a response. The pattern is the same. Talk loudly, claim dominance, and then find a reason why the specific fight on the specific terms that would actually prove it cannot happen right now. The difference is Armen Tsarukyan keeps showing up. He showed up to Philadelphia and competed against Uriah Faber. He showed up to the mat and tried to get wrestling matches with Merab and anyone else who would say yes. He showed up to the Kickstream and sat with Ryan Garcia and treated him like a friend. And after all of that, after the dinner, after the handshake, after the as a man promise, he sat on camera and told the story without rage, without threats, without drama. Just the facts, in sequence, with receipts. Ryan Garcia owes Armen Tsarukyan $40,000. He lost the bet. He shook the hand. He knew who the fighter was when he made the promise. He deleted his tweets. He went silent on the MMA challenge, and he broke bread with a man he was already planning to steal from. That is the full story, and most people only saw the highlight clip. That video on what happens next, the Ilia fight, the title shot, and whether Ryan Garcia ever actually responds to the $1 million MMA challenge is right here. Drop a comment. Do you think Ryan Garcia ever pays Armen the $40,000, or does he keep hiding behind deleted tweets and a lawyer who looks like he needs a public defender?